right, Rob Otto. Good evening, not from Sheboygan, Michigan. And hey, Spike, let's go to Maine and boom. Hello, everyone. Happy Wednesday to you. Happy hump day. We are going to read what I think will be some funny stuff. I would not have children in the room for the reading, which should take about 30 minutes. There are some dirty jokes. And I know that's a shocker for a lot of you to think that I might have foul-mouthed humor in my work, but I do, and I'm giving you a heads up. And then, of course, after the episode, we are going to celebrate the life of one Bruce Icepick Press. And we have come prepared. A and I are mature enough to know that we ain't getting through this one without a couple of not so dry eyes, so to speak. Gary Lindros in the house. I missed a bunch of people who just showed up. But Ruth, how are you? Martin, what's up? Joe, Don. Okay, so 154. We'll jump right into it after that. Jump into the reading. Let's see. Oh, by the way, welcome to episode 200 of Sigler in Place. Thanks to John tallying this up, we have done this entertainment for you 200 times, including tonight. Started out when COVID was around, lockdowns were around, and our effort to make sure everybody had a little something fun to look forward to each week, just in case they were locked in and couldn't get out and see their pals and were feeling down about everything. We strive to give you some positivity, some entertainment. And I think we've done a decent job at that, but 200 of these puppies. We don't know how much longer we're going to do Sigler in Place. I am backed up on the writing, man. I will not lie to you guys, but we at least got 200 in. It's been very fun. And some of you we see here all the time. Some of you pop in and out. All are good. All are equally good. 56 seconds till we get into, Rob episode CC. Give me a hit of that CC, son. This is non-boozy. She makes many mocktails. That is a cocktail without any alcohol in it. Like a Shirley Temple. Very much like a Shirley. Hello, Michelle. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll go back to chat. Say hi to everybody. Brittany, how are you, man? And we will start. I think we're going to start signing off with positive messages now that the science is apparently solved. But we are definitely, life is short. Make sure you tell your loved ones that you love them. Make sure you get that out there as often as you can, even to the point where if your pals are like, oh, shucks, man, you don't got to say that no more. Keep on saying it. Keep on saying it. All right, let's get rid of the timers. Bye-bye. And then the chat timer. That's a bye-bye. Let's check chat. Boom, done. Let's bring up Slay lower third. Go back to main. Looking good, son. And let's get into it. All right, everybody, we got quite a bumper crop. Again, this will take about 30 minutes. If you don't want to be spoiled on the story, I would come back at the bottom of the hour. We'll have weather and traffic on the ones. Come back at the bottom of the hour. We'll talk about Bruce Press. But for now, let me entertain you. All right, Steve, I am hitting record. I did, baby. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Let's have some fun. Previously on Slay. Lincoln tried to alter his deal with Callista, but before he could get to her, finish the job Johnson got to him. Lincoln wound up in chains, about to be beheaded by Callista's bodyguard, Bobby, when Ariella Goldsmith came in with a gun to Gary Sater's head. Now, Lincoln's life hangs in the balance as Ariella attempts to put a lawyering on Callista and her team. Lincoln allowed himself to hope. Not much, but even a shred of hope was more than he'd had only moments earlier. Ariella Goldman glared at Callista. Callista glared back. Ariella pressed the barrel of Lincoln's spare Kel-Tec pistol against the underside of Gary's jaw. "Release my client," Ariella said. Right now. Lincoln wondered how she'd got past the guards out front. That red dress and those heels, maybe, had been enough to get her in the door where Gary welcomed guests. Then the pistol had done all the talking. Her chunky turquoise necklace glowed softly. She had cast some kind of a protection spell, most likely, to keep Callista's magic at bay. The cojones on this woman. Lincoln lay in the middle of the dance floor, bound in chains before Callista's throne. A wall of clubgoers surrounded her, and the burly... A wall of clubgoers surrounded him, and the burly Minotaur, who'd been moments away from lopping off Lincoln's head. The barely dressed, still sweaty revelers kept their distance, watched the scene go down. The unska, unska, unska music had stopped. The mirror ball still spun slowly, its colored squares of light gliding across Lincoln, Callista, Bobby, Ariella, Gary, and clubgoers alike. Bobby lowered his double-bladed axe. "Mistress Callista, would you like me to dispatch this woman?" Ariella jammed the gun harder into the soft spot beneath Gary's chin, forced his head up at a sharp angle. The satyr winced in pain and fear. "Take one step toward me, bold boy, and I squeeze this trigger. I should tell you, though, that this weapon is loaded with 223 meshwork-coated hollow points. I can get off 3 rounds before you reach me. Even if I only fire 1 round, it'll turn this man's brains into pureed goat cheese." Callista raised a long-nailed finger. "Robert, return to your position." Bobby walked behind Callista's throne, set the pommel of his axe on the floor, and rested his hands atop the head. He stood there as if it was just another day at the office. For him, it probably was. "I will not release Lincoln," Callista said, "nor will I allow him to speak. He had his chance." "You will do as I ask," Ariella said. You know full well what happens if you break patchwork law, Callista. Do you want your boas? 'Cause this is how you get your boas." Callista leaned back. Fire still flickered from her eyes, her skin still glowed red, but Lincoln saw concern on that sultry face. Even the most powerful sorcerers in existence feared the shadowy keepers of order. If Jerboas came, Callista would die horribly, just like any other. "In that case," she said, as she crossed her fishnet-clad legs, "I claim my right to representation." Lincoln saw Ariella's left cheek twitch. Just once, just a little bit. He didn't know her well, but he knew her well enough to realize that she'd thought she could bulldoze her way through this scenario without facing legal opposition. "That is your right," Ariella said. "But I should warn you, the contract you signed with Lincoln is ironclad. And to save us all time, and to save you potential embarrassment, I mean more embarrassment, I have information to trade. We know that someone is about to muscle in on your turf, and in a big way, and that they have a financial backer." The flames flickering from Callista's eyes ebbed, lowered. "No one is that stupid, sweetie," she said. "Who is it?" Ariella waggled a finger side to side. You find out only if you release my client. Allow him to make an installment payment on the contract, which is his right, and honor the duration of said contract." Curls of smoke drifted from Callista's nostrils. She was redder now. Definitely redder. "Goldman, I'm going to roast you alive. I will make the skin melt from your muscles and your muscles crumble from your bones. What you're going to do, per Section 17, Clause 9 of the contract you signed with my client, is summon your representation this instant. If you don't, we exercise Clause 10. Ariella smiled sweetly. Such confidence. Such swagger. I'm sure you know what Clause 10 is, right, Callista? Callista's hands curled into fists. The air around them shimmered from the heat. "Release my manservant, Goriginald," Callista said. "He will summon my lawyer. You have my word, you will not be harmed while you are here." Ariella hesitated. Lincoln knew little of patchwork law, but he knew that if Ariella didn't let Callista call for her lawyer, it would be Ariella that faced the Jerboas. Ariella lowered the pistol. Gary Sater rubbed at his jaw. "Goat cheese?" He glared at Ariella, his furry eyelids narrowing, as did his horizontal pupils. "Hurtful, and more than a little bit racist." Ariella twirled a finger. "Get on with it." Gary snorted at her, then looked to Ariella. "Mistress, perhaps this would be best done with fewer curious eyes observing the proceedings." Callista glanced around the room, taking in the hundreds of drug-addled dancers watching the scene. "An excellent point, Goriginald," she said. "This club is now closed. All of you GTFO. Not you, Mercutio. You stay." The crowd didn't need to be told twice. They were disappointed, but they hurried out, not wanting to risk Callista's anger. In moments, the club rats were gone. Callista's throne, now with only Mercutio leaning against it, one finger twirling a long, perfect blonde curl, looked less impressive. Gary Sater spread his hands. Amber light flashed between them and his curled horns. His goat eyes gleamed with a soft, white light. A column of that same amber light appeared on the dance floor in front of Gary. In that light stood a naked man with a thick beard cut flat across the bottom. He held a glossy Plano magazine in one hand, but the man's dick drew everyone's attention. It hung down like a limp, meter-long, freshly oiled python, the tip angled against the floor. "Oh," Ariella said, her voice now devoid of the bravado it had carried only moments earlier. "Shocking cock Khan is your lawyer?" Callista smiled a shark's smile. In the beam of light, the naked man looked about the room, his gaze landing on the flaming-eyed woman sitting in the throne. "This had better be important," he said. "I was in the midst of self-gratification when your emissary drew me into communion with you. As you can see," he gestured to his yard-long penis, "it takes a while to prepare myself." Callista flicked a hand, her go-to dismissive gesture. "Polish your banister some other time," she said. "I have a contractual matter that demands your attention. Now, put that monstrosity away before you turn sharply and accidentally break a window." Khan tossed the magazine aside. He rubbed his palms together, then raised his hands. A shawl of blue and red lined with thick ribbons of gold dropped onto him, covering him from shoulders to toes. Khan wiggled his fingers. Jewel-encrusted rings appeared on them, and intricate bracelets materialized on his wrists. "That's better," Callista said. We'll discuss increasing your retainer a little bit later," Khan said. "But first, well, if it isn't Ariella Goldman. Look at you in that dress. And those heels? You look like a young little Julia Roberts all done up for a shopping spree on Rodeo Drive. Like a Sigourney Weaver in Working Girls, but with somewhat overstated turquoise necklace instead of something classy like some no-nonsense pearls. You might not think I'm happy to see that it's you I'm squaring off against today, but I am. I truly am." Lincoln looked at Ariella. She sensed his gaze, met it. "Khan and I have faced off before in court," she said. 3 times. "Of which I've won 2. In the column of light, Shocking Cock Khan looked down at Lincoln. "And I have a feeling I'm about to go 3-1. Look at you, all chained up, all helpless. Just a lonely, handsome man, just desperate for a knight in shining armor to come unbind him, for which He would be so eminently grateful that, well, he'd do just about anything to show his Con, Callista said. This isn't the time to file things away in your spank bank. Con looked up to the ceiling, shook his head in his hands. Whew, of course, he said. It's just that when you show a starving man a smorgasbord, you can't expect him to not take a sniff. Now, can you? Now, Fire Eyes, be a good client and bring your counselor up to speed, won't you? Surprisingly, Callista laid out the facts in a non-biased way, describing the contract, Sam's place on the shelf, her protection of the boy, her ordering Lincoln to kill Ariella, and finished off with her hiring of Finish the Job Johnson to bring Lincoln in. Lincoln wished he could speak for himself, but his jaw remained clamped shut. It's an open and shut case, Ariella said. My client possesses on his person at this very moment payment that allows him to execute Clause 15 in the contract. Callista needs to release him immediately and allow said contract to occur. Open and shut is more like it, Shocking Cock Khan said. Your client was ordered to kill you. He chose to engage your services instead. Section 42, paragraphs 6 through 17 of the Bounty Hunting Codicil clearly states a bounty hunter who engages in a contract may not be bought out by the target of said contract. I didn't buy him out, Ariella said. We went into business together. Khan laced his fingers, rested his hands on his stomach. Damn, but did that dude look smug. Not that Lincoln could blame him. Looking smug would be a steady-state existence for anyone with 3 feet of dangling fury like that. It is a monetary transaction regardless, Khan said. If Mr. Franks had engaged any other lawyer, I'd say you have a clear win here. But he did not. Your financial intertwinings muddy the waters considerably. Lincoln thought of Dylan Cantrell. When Ariella pointed out that Lincoln could change his contract with Callista, he could have gone to his old friend and pursued it with him. Lincoln had not. Instead, he had decided, on a whim, to put everything at risk. And Cantrell had not paid Bingles. That wasn't like him, not a bit. Lincoln realized, surprisingly and sharply, that he'd been too caught up in his own misery to pay attention to the obvious. Something had gone wrong for Dylan Cantrell. Was he in trouble? Was he dead? Counsel Lacan, your point is moot, Ariella said. My client has payment to activate Clause 15. End of story. He's here. He's willing to pay. Your client must remove those chains and allow him to do so. Khan glanced down at Lincoln. There was a gleam in his eye, a gleam that Lincoln did not like. His chains, Khan said. Did my client apply those chains to Mr. Franks? What did that have to do with anything? Lincoln looked to Ariella. They were applied by someone in your client's employ, she said, at your client's order. Callista smiled. I did not specify how Lincoln was to be delivered. In fact, when the bounty hunter who brought him in wanted to kill him, I spared his life. A bounty hunter? Khan put on an expression of fake perplexity. Why, I do believe bounty hunters are freelancers, not direct employees. Oh, this gig economy, it creates so many damn wrinkles. But the law is clear on this. My client is not responsible for the actions of freelancers. He raised a hand as if he were a Roman emperor giving a grand speech. If Mr. Franks could hand my client the payment, well then, yes, he would be free to force Clause 15. However, due to his restraints not applied by my client or those in her direct employ, he can't hand over the payment. Therefore, that's a goddamn loophole, Ariella said. If fire could have flared from her eyes, Lincoln knew it would reach to the club's black ceiling. Any lawyer worth his salt just loves loopholes. Khan started striding around, his chest out, his hand high and gesturing. Any holes, really. Or maybe that's just me. My client does not need to release Mr. Franks. If my client so chooses, she can leave Mr. Franks as he is to urinate and defecate upon himself, get all smelly and stinky, and eventually die of dehydration. And she isn't required to lift one subtle finger to... He stopped walking, suddenly, bent at the waist. His right foot raised slightly, his face scrunched in pain. "Oh, Con," Callista said. "Did you step on it again?" Con nodded. "Yep, you stepped right on it." "You're not wearing the cock garter I got you for Saturnalia?" Con shook his head. "Nope, not wearing it." Callista sighed. "Let's give him a moment to recover." She looked to Ariella. "You have lost, Goldsmith. Normally, that would spell your end, unless you found some other sap to protect you. But I doubt you can, considering I have put the word out. Anyone you hire becomes a target of mine. No one wants to be a target of mine. With Lincoln out of the picture, you are at my mercy. However, I am intrigued by your claim that some fool is moving in on my turf. Con, could you inform Ariella that..." Still bent over, face still scrunched, Con held up a finger. "Gonna need another minute. Oh boy, do I need to lose some weight." Callista rubbed at her face. When she lowered her hands, the flames were gone from her eyes. "I'll offer you a side deal, Goldsmith," she said. "You tell me who is muscling in on my territory. If this threat turns out to be accurate, I will allow Lincoln to make his payment and activate Clause 15, whatever the hell that is. But only if Lincoln eliminates that threat." That was a horrible deal. Lincoln would have said so, could he have opened his mouth. Thankfully, Ariella was way too smart to allow... "Agreed," Ariella said. Lincoln tried to yell, but all that came out were more pig noises. Angry pig noises, but pig noises all the same. Callista snapped her fingers. Lincoln's jaw loosened. "We're not taking that deal," he said. "No fucking way." Ariella turned on him. "Lincoln Franks, shut your mouth. Let me handle this." Her intensity took him aback, and he knew how Gary must have felt with that pistol jammed up under his chin. Con started to stand, shook his head, bent at the waist again. He reached up one hand and gave a thumbs up. "Side deal approved," he said. "Oh my God, I need some ice." Callista recrossed her legs, letting the curve of her ass peek out from beneath her red leather skirt. "We have a deal," she said. "Now, who is this imbecile with enough hubris to think that he can take my territory?" "It's Dante Oganoff," Ariella said. "He's had at least 5 hitters operating in the city under the guise of competing for one low-budget contract." Callista's smoldering stare pivoted to Lincoln. "Dante Oganoff, the man that you were supposed to kill for me." "You didn't ask me to kill him," Lincoln said. "You asked me to send him a message, which apparently you suck at." Callista held out a hand, waggled her fingers. Lincoln's chains fell free. He stood, rubbed his wrists and arms, considered reaching into his cloak for Tizona and driving that sword straight through Callista's chest. But he could not. A deal had been struck. He had no desire to be gobbled up by jerboas. Fucking lawyers, man. Fucking lawyers. "You said 5 hitters," Callista said. "Who are they?" "Boss Hogg, the Flechette sisters, and Oleus Oakbeard," Ariella said. "Oh, fuck," Bobby said. "Oakbeard? And that white-suited cracker?" Callista's confident smile faltered, waned. "That's 4, she said. "Who is the 5th? "Pragman." Lincoln rubbed at his sore jaw muscles. "But I already took him out. There could be more. Why don't you just hire Finish the Job Johnson again and leave me out of this?" Callista looked at him, the strength returning to her eyes. Lincoln, for years, tongues have wagged as to who is the baddest motherfucker in the bounty hunter business. Some say it's Finish the Job Johnson. Others believe, quite strongly, that Icepick is the deadliest person alive. But there are a few, just a few, mind you, who believe that title belongs to the eldest son of the legendary Jacoby Franks. So, if I already have one of the best in the business handling this issue, why buy the goat when I can have the milk for free? Unnecessary, mistress, Gary Setter said. Prejudicial, injurious, and a tad unkind. Callista flicked a hand toward him. Be quiet, my pet. I didn't let Goldsmith ventilate your pretty head now, did I? The compliment seemed to please Gary. He stood straighter, smoothed out his tux. 4 talented bounty hunters, Callista said. Perhaps even more. Oganov doesn't have that kind of clout. You said there is money behind this gambit. Whose money? Lincoln and Ariella traded a glance. We don't know, she said. Not yet. Callista stood. She extended a hand. Mercutio took it, led her down the platform steps. Her 6-inch heels clicked. Her body swayed with each slow step as she approached Lincoln. Christ, but she was hot. The temptress even smelled good, like a dish that's so spicy it will burn your tongue, yet you eat it anyway because it's a good hurt. Lincoln Franks, she said. Remember that, for now, your son's survival relies solely upon my discretion. You'll protect a helpless little thing like me, won't you? Oh, how he hated this bitch. I want to see my son, he said. Callista glanced off, pretending to think. No, she said. Considerate motivation. Perhaps he's fine. Ooh, but perhaps not. The only way you know is when you deal with Dante and the fools working for him. Hated her so much. Do good work for me, Lincoln, Callista said. And this time, don't fuck it up. Instead of avoiding 4 talented killers, Lincoln now had to take them head on. Any one of them could end him. But all of them? His chances were hot garbage. I need a few hours to prepare, he said. Think you can stay alive that long without me, Callista? She leaned in, kissed his cheek, slow and lingering. It sent a spark through him, from head to toe, stopping for a lingering lunch at his privates along the way. I'll do my darndest, she said. You have 3 hours. Then I want you on the job. Now, you and your arrogant whore of a lawyer can get the fuck out of my place. That was episode 24 of Slay. Things are going to get a little bit bonkers from here on out. Hope I have you for the rest of the story. Have a good one. Come on up, baby. All right, everybody. Hope you enjoyed that. Now for the sad part of the show. Let's get into it. The voices inspired by that show are Glenn from Letterkenny is, in my head, playing the role of Shocking Cock Khan. I forget her name from Ghosts. Betty? Anyways, that's now the voice of Gary the Satyr. So, anybody, episode's been non-bonkers so far. Honey, who is the, thank you, sweets. Who is the woman in the green dress on Ghosts?
The woman in the green dress?
Hetty.
Yeah,
Hetty.
dress.
Woman in the green, blue dress, whatever. That is Hetty. Let me get your microphone on here, sweetheart. There we go. Boom, we have that. Ladies and gentlemen, Look who showed up. Look who showed up.
Susan Ann.
I will tell you one advantage to life is being easily amused. There you go. All right. Can you hear yourself, Sweets?
I can.
Okay, come over, bring this a little closer. Can you hear? Okay, computer.
Yeah, let me do
You do it.
Yeah.
You just take care of that. Look at you. Okay, and one more like that. And let's get the chat over here so you can see it. No extra screens today, nothing like that. Evo's in the house.
Hey, Evo.
Nothing in the house. We love ghosts. We love Letterkenny.
We
And
obviously love Letterkenny.
There's so many voices in Letterkenny that I'm just like, I'm putting that one in. I'm putting that one in. So it's quite wonderful. Stephen Jacob. Oh man, Letterkenny is one of the smartest, cleverestest shows I've seen in a long time. It's funny out of the gate. It's also a slow burn as you really get to know the characters. But we're not going to talk too much about that today. So hey, Scott Pond, big old crowd showing up today. I know why there's a big old crowd showing up today. Let's take a look at the numbers we got here. Oh, this is a fucking massive crowd. All right, ladies and gentlemen, of course it's a massive crowd because we have gathered here today to bid farewell to an absolute mainstay of Siglerism. One of the original junkies, a person who was a critical part of Siglerfest, and I would say responsible for Siglerfest, partially responsible for Siglerfest getting going in the first place.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
And we are close friends with his entire family, and there are so many people in the chat room right now whose lives were touched by Bruce and who are, grieving right now. So we're going to show some wonderful pictures of Bruce and walk through a little bit of the history of him in the world of Siglerism.
And you guys, we're going to record all of this in case the presses would like to see it after the fact. So if you have special memories that you'd like to share in the chat, that would eventually get downloaded and sent to them as well.
So because we're going to be showing a bunch of pictures of Bruce, I'm not going to be able, probably not going to be able to bring the chat up unless we stop for things everybody see. So unfortunately, if you guys, hey Robert, how are you, man? If you guys, yes, and I'm having a first drink of the week because I've been writing so much. Mm-hmm. This is my ode to Bruce. May I sip there? I will not be pouring one out on the curb for him with this. I'll save that for my Bud Light. Might pour a whole Bud Light on the curb. I don't know.
Oh, Beth, so nice of you to join from the middle of the night where you are.
Yes,
how wonderful. Yes.
So I won't be able to put the chat up on the screen probably, which of course has Facebook and Twitch and YouTube and any place else anybody watches. So if you're Twitch there, the new Bruce, talk amongst yourselves. Basically, that's all we can really do. All right. So let's go. You ready for the pictures, babe?
Yep. So if you guys, I'm figuring you're all aware, our dear friend Bruce Press died this past Saturday. He publicly announced back in February, I think, that he had been diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. And this past Saturday was the end of that, that struggle with that cancer. And his wife and family posted a note on his Caring Bridge site, also all over Facebook, saying that they were all there with him, and Julie said, I hope that he felt the depth of our love, because all of his children and his wife were there with him when he passed, and it's interesting because that's, I think, the only thing that Bruce gave everyone was his love, and he did that in several forms. I can't think. Everybody thinks that I'm a really nice person, and there are people I refuse to be in the same room with. I refuse to speak to, and I'm not talking about people none of us know. Like I wouldn't be in a room with Hitler. I'm not saying that. I'm saying people I actually know. If they walk into a room, I'll walk out, and I can't imagine that Bruce had one of those. He was able to interact with everyone, and so I certainly felt the depth of his love for us, and I want to give that back to his family if we can tonight, and for you guys who are all, of course, sad to have missed him. Yep.
If you guys are, any of you are regular Siglerfest attendees, if you knew Bruce, I highly recommend you grab yourself a Kleenex because this is gonna be Lovely and rough all at the same time. You ready, sweetheart?
Yeah. So we're going to show some photos while we talk a little bit. Gary Lindros, who is in the chat room on Facebook. Old school. He said in the chat room on Facebook that Bruce brought together people together and made us family. And I think that's entirely true. And what's interesting about Bruce is he was part of so many communities, and so many communities that some overlap. Gary and I are both part of the Dragon Con community, but we're also both part of Siglerism, both part of skepticism, that sort of thing all together. And he was part of so many communities, and he was so well respected in them. And if you look at Facebook and you were part of his circle, you'll see that. You'll see people who you didn't really realize were also part of his circle, because he was obviously Siglerism. He was a big part of the critical thinking community and the skeptic conference Nexus, which is every fall-ish in New York City. And he was part of the Balticon community. He was part of the Dragon Con community. He was part of the theater community in Baltimore.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
A huge part of the theater community in Baltimore. He was a big part of the photography community in Maryland at large, and bigger than that. And he was also, certainly not least, a big part of George Hrab's, the Music Fest community in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, and specifically George Hrab's whole career, just like ours. Always present, always there, always giving, always loving.
Yeah. And all right. Yep. I'll come back to that point in a minute. Let's get into the fun stuff.
So these are photos that either Bruce took or you guys sent in of Bruce. Whenever you're ready? Yep.
Okay. And I will warn you that the final picture is going to make everybody cry, so I may just shut the feed down after that. I'm not sure. Yeah. Here we go. This
is perhaps my favorite photo in the bunch because I hadn't seen it until recently. This is, I'm going to say, probably in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. If you guys don't know, from left to right, the guy with his tongue in Bruce's ear is Evo Terra.
The one and only.
The one and only. Then there's Bruce. Then there's Sheila D., who is Evo's wife. Then there's Donna Mugavero, who is our in-book designer and all-around fantastic friend. And then Julie Press, Bruce's wife, of course.
All right.
You good?
Nope.
No? Okay. You're hanging in? This is Donna Mugavero's 60th birthday party. This is a great...
This is a photo. Some of these photos are by Bruce, and then we grabbed anything we could get on short notice that has Bruce in it.
And this is a photo by Bruce, yeah.
Yeah, he's sort of like, you never see Clark Kent and Superman in the same place. We have so many fucking amazing pictures. Half of our house is decorated with the artistry of this man because... This is not pictures of him because he's always had a camera's hand. He's always taking pictures of everybody. The thing I was choking up on is... We'll get back to it. Go ahead, babe.
Okay. So you see Bruce's wife, Julie, right next to that. That's Allie Press, if you have not yet met her. And then I think I've introduced Evo and Sheila and Donna, and that is Kira and George. And they are they live in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, and have been friends for, I can't even imagine, 20 years now?
It's a long time.
At least with me, a little less with Scott, and then certainly probably with them even longer.
I still have to play bass for George Rabb at some point.
You do.
I'll play bass for him on a track. Oh, sorry, guys. Let's go back over here. Oh, you dirty dog.
There we go. We went back to the beginning.
Left's not working. All right. Just riff for a second, baby. See if I figure out what's going on
here. Sure. So I will say we have a handful of wonderful memories with Bruce, and probably the one that we share the most with the most people in this room, in this chat room, I mean, is the Siglerfest, where he absolutely saved Siglerfest and very likely
I forgot to get
Scott's
those pictures.
Where
Shoot.
he was playing on the Thursday night. We used to do a concert of Scott's band, and Scott was playing, and he tripped on the stage, which had no backing, no railing in the back, and then hit his amp as he was falling over, and Bruce grabbed him by the belt buckle before he hit his head on the carpet 5 feet down. Maybe 4 feet down. Either way would have been terrible. The photos that he's talking about is Scott took photos of the dinner plate-sized bruise that was next to his 2 broken ribs, and he wanted to share that with all of you tonight. I will say, if you guys have video of that, I want to give everybody in the chat room, if you post a video of that, it's not something I ever want to see, and I understand it's not terrific. Anyhow, but we didn't find those, which is good. But yeah, and he was totally chill about it too. He was like, bloop, Get on with the show, sir.
It caught me by my belt as I was literally falling off the back of the stage and just taking a pretty significant rib-breaking shot to the ribs. That's how you get manual use.
And then I'll say the other part of that. So Bruce was so cool under pressure.
Oh, that's right.
I was not cool under pressure at all. I happened to not see it, which I'm grateful for. But I went to the back of the room because I could tell I was getting kind of nervous and stressed out about it. And the most amazing thing happened. All these people, including my now mother-in-law and lots of like 6 or 7 people came to the back of the room with pain meds and Vicodin and stuff like that, like their own stash. Like, oh, he's definitely going to need this later.
All right, I'm sorry, guys. I'm going to try and switch this to automatic now. Let me set, because the hotkeys aren't working for whatever the fucking reason, and it's very frustrating.
That's all right.
So time between slides, how long is 8,000 milliseconds?
Not very. I don't really know. Somebody do the math. We need you.
I need to know how long 8,000 milliseconds is, use guys. Use guys is. All right, we'll do one more time.
8 seconds. It's 8 seconds.
It's 8 seconds?
Yep.
Great. So what we got, 6:41, we got a lot of people hanging out. So let's do, we'll do 16 seconds per.
That's probably too much.
That's not, all right, let's go for it.
Yeah. So
sorry guys, transition, fade, slide mode, automatic. Let's see what happens.
Here we go.
There's this picture. We'll wait and see if we get another picture.
In 16 seconds? Is that when it's coming?
Yes, but I have to wait for the first one to do its thing.
And the
hit
second
that fan, man. It's getting hot.
Okay.
It's getting hot, yeah.
I think 16. Oh, there we go. So we've also seen this one.
There we go. Yep.
If you are unfamiliar with George Traub, who is the one in the Superman pose, he is a brilliant musician. He writes funny, scientifically accurate songs, I'll say. He's absolutely brilliant. He's so talented. He does all of the work on his own albums. This is also a collection in George's home. No, maybe not in George's home. And I can't quite see.
It's a big passel of people.
Folks, but you see, Ed is in the back there.
Donna's bottom right.
Yeah. And
this
then
is a great picture.
Gosh, this is
just
has to be during the pandemic because I see masks. I stole this from Donna's tribute to him on Facebook. They both have masks there on the couch, but that is exactly the joy that Bruce brought to anybody who would give it back to him, I think. I stole some of these from his friends' posts on Facebook. This is him. I don't think I knew him this young, but this is from, I think his niece posted this photo. But forgive me if I get this wrong. I was trying to make an enormous swath of photos. This is obviously a self-portrait, and this is from his theater days in Baltimore. Back before, I think back in the before times, I'll say. Evo Terra on Facebook says heart-wrenched. Absolutely.
Yeah, totally.
It's such an interesting thing. This is from Timothy Legower. That is Timothy Legower and his spouse, Nicole. And they have known through several communities, the Skeptic community, the Dragon Con community, the Junkie community. They have known Bruce for quite a while. And that is a beautiful photo. And then you're going to see a whole bunch of Siglerfest photos. Forgive me, I didn't quite track who. So there are so many multiples that look alike. Forgive me, everybody who sent these
now,
in.
a warning, Bruce's favorite jersey was an orbiting death jersey.
Which is that jersey, just so you know.
Has death across the front of his jersey. Of course it does. There he is at Siglerfest in a
that's
Sigler
probably
Things
karaoke.
T-shirt.
Yep.
And he would come to karaoke and just shoot pictures. And we might actually extend this to another episode a tiny bit, because we have all these fucking Siglerfest albums that not only were all the pictures taken by, here's another Siglerfest.
Yep.
You guys see yourself, there's Dane Lundy, there's the Lundys.
And Todd Taylor and
But
Sherry
he not only took all the pictures of Siglerfest, he put together all the photos for the Siglerfest albums that many of you have. And really, since he was the empty set photographer, he is the reason we have so many gorgeous pictures of fucking everything. And that's what I was upset about, is Siglerism is not the same without him.
It's true. It is not the same. And I know this for a fact because one of the things that happened, this is a Siglerfest, I think after
There's Bruce on the right,
yep,
shooting you guys being idiots in karaoke.
His tactikilt, which I know so many people, so I got several emails and that were the same. And many of them, I'd say about 15, were like, I never knew Bruce. I'm so sorry for your loss and the community's loss. But I know Siglerism, and I wish I had gone to Siglerfest because of his photos.
Now, I know your eyes are drawn to the dashing figure on the left, who is gesticulating with a phallic object. But on the right, another phallic object is Bruce Press taking a picture. The amazing pictures we got from that show with Evan Diamond in the library. It was great.
This is Scott Blue Pond. Steel and Sex Appeal. Scott Pond sent this in, and I do love it.
Look at that look. Look at that model pose you're throwing. And then Julie on the right just like, hi, no, we're doing fucking Blue Steel, woman. We're doing Blue Steel.
That is her Blue Steel.
That is her Blue Steel?
Probably.
Oh, boy. She's not getting any modeling gigs off that seal. And
this
then we go,
sent in from... Gary sent this in. This is the Parsac Steering Committee back in the day, and I see Susan, and obviously Laura Burns is there, and you see Bruce, and you see Gary. I'm pointing to Gary all the way in the back. Yeah, that helps.
I love it.
Maria
There's Bruce
posted,
on the right.
And then his son Benjamin in the middle there.
Love you, Ben.
And that
Stephen King's in the house.
Yep, Stephen King's in that photo, and that fantastic.
But this is perfect for Stephen King. There's Maria looking, just a great shot of Maria being her crazy self, and then Bruce just kind of faded out in the background. I'm just hanging out, no big deal. There again,
I love Stephen Jacob sent this in, and I think is such a fantastic photo.
I may have played to the camera when Bruce was doing his business. I may have hammed it up a little bit.
If you've ever seen him in person, I know you're surprised by that, because he's always so reserved in public.
But Bruce could roll with all that shit. It was great. Of course, this is Bruce.
So many
Icepick.
of you loved this photo, and so many of you sent in versions of this photo. This was, I'm not
y'all just peeing in the urinal right there.
I'm not sure if it was his idea or not, but I know he was enthusiastic about
that.
That
is my favorite Bruce Press picture right there. And there's Bruce, of course, again, just leaning into karaoke. There's Kelly. I think that's Gordy in there. I'm not sure. I can't really make it out. Scott Pond in the background.
Pond right in the back, yep.
All people having a great time.
And there's some people have wigs on and stuff, so you
people
can't
having a great time. More Sigler. This is the costume event at Sigler Fest. Did Bruce wear a costume?
Bowling. Yeah, he was.
Bowling.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't get that bowling picture, but I can call it up. We're going to have some time.
Okay.
Hey, Robin. Okay. Yeah, and
Robin was Minnie Mouse, I think, and obviously we had Breaking Bad, and he was
Sean Dyer was actually peeing in the pictures for there, and there's Danny Lundy.
For
Where they both? What was his name? What was the character's name? From The Big Lebowski.
John Goodman's who I can't remember. Damn it!
Look at Danny Lundy posturing up, sticking that chest out. Look at it.
This was, I think, from Balticon. I think Tori Pond sent this in, so I want to say it might have been Balticon.
Yeah, it might have been. Okay.
And Bruce did a handful of talks on lots of things. Talks on skepticism. Talks on how to identify misinformation. Obviously, lots of photography stuff. And I got a whole bunch of photos a lot like that, and a whole bunch of photos a lot like this, which is him in his Tactikilt.
Yep.
Working.
Because the Tactikilt was useful for photography. It had all his photography stuff in there, and some other junk too. Here we are. A and I had the. Go ahead.
We got to go see Bruce and Julie and the family back in March. This is March 18th, I believe, or maybe 20th. This is St. Patrick's Day, because I was in his kitchen cooking, and I asked if I could make stuff, and he said sure. And I'll just say, you guys know this is one of my favorite photos. This
is my favorite.
So we. I said, okay, I'll cook. It's Patrick's Day. It's St. Patrick's Day. I'll make colcannon and bangers and soda bread, and it'll be great. And he said sure, and got all the groceries I asked him to get. This is a Three Monkeys photo from that same trip, from that same photo shoot. And this
is a Bruce Press self photo with us and me and George Robb in it.
And then about 2 hours into me cooking, he comes in and he's like, this is I want to stop my little story and say this. This is Julie, and he always recruited his family. I seen photos of Julie like this, of Allie like this, of Ben like this, where he's testing the camera and all the levels and stuff. And for some reason, this is part of the last Sigler Fest's collection.
Oh shit, there he is.
Yeah, this is back in the day. I think this is 2013. It's okay, honey. It had to be a little bit, maybe 2014. This was a Sigler Fest. And that is the Galaxy Bowl trophy that Scott Pond made. And we used to bring to Sigler Fest, and people could have their photos taken. This is that same year, us fronting for the camera. Oh, that's Julie's mean mug. That's Julie's mean.
That's
I
a
have
blue
no
steel.
mean mug.
That's a blue steel. Thank you very much.
Every time Scott says game face, I'm like,
Julie, I think we're calling that one Tiger Claw, to be honest.
Yeah,
That's your Tiger Claw.
This was the first Sigler Fest in Las Vegas. We took everybody to the gun range. And this is, there. I didn't add a photo of Julie because she's in it alone, but it was a photo that Bruce took. This is obviously Bruce at the gun range. Julie, who, if you've never met Julie in person, this is me and Bruce at Dragon Con in mustaches and glasses. And if you've never met Julie, she's like this big, and she was riding the biggest gun in the place, which
50 cal.
50 cal, you have to sit on. Yeah, it was amazing. These collection of people who are not Bruce Press are a group of friends of mine called the Bruces, and it's hard to tell you why in 16 seconds, but we entered the Dragon Con parade, and we were all a different version of Bruce. I was Bruce. Was I Rick Springfield? I was Rick Springfield, I think. Yeah. And this was Bruce's idea. And he begged me to do it. And I was like, I don't know. He's like, you need this photo. You need this photo for when people are asking you things that they've asked 67,000 times, like, can we do body maim at Sigler Fest? And I was like, all right. And then he took it. This was 2016, I think, and I love it. This is my favorite photo of the two of us. This was at the Neon Museum a different year, I think. Or
I like it. I like it. Some fucking rip. Look at the guns I got right there. That's back when I went to the gym. Son.
If you've never been to Vegas, these are old neon signs.
That's
There's
beautiful.
a neon. It's so cool.
So beautiful.
And he took that photo. This Stephanie Harvey sent in. He took this at the very first Sigler Fest. Obviously, that is Paul Harvey. He's teeny tiny there, and he's a grown man now with a driver's license.
Just got his driver's license. What's up?
This was a gift from another junkie, Callie, and she said she loves it so, and I understand why. This, I think, was 2017 at like 2 a.m. and you can tell because we all have beads. Well, they have beads on. I assume I have beads.
We'll show that
too.
one, John, in a second.
That we were probably, it was probably 2 a.m. This is, I want to say this is Balticon or Tam.
Look at those
maybe.
four sexy
this
motherfuckers.
Is Tam. Yeah, this is
four
Tam,
sexy bitches just all lined up.
Yeah, probably 2010 or 11 this one is. Ooh. Another one from the gun range.
Did I double that? Is that a double?
No, that's a different.
That's a different one? Okay.
It's a different gun.
Good. There he is with his orbiting death. The man loved the orbiting death. He sure did.
He did. He's showing you his Fortnite stash. That's a different weapon than the other one was.
Okay. And then we're back to the beginning. All right. So
that was faster than I thought.
Yeah. So what we're gonna do is.
Can you find that bowling pick?
Yeah, I think I can.
So
you put it in
that same place. Yeah.
Okay. You chat with the peoples. I'll see if I can find it.
So I will say back to that trip in March. He let me cook in his kitchen, and like 2 hours into me fixing stuff and whatever, because it's not difficult to make, but it takes some time. He comes in and he says, "It's so funny. I don't normally let people in my kitchen without me." And I was.
Where would I find that, Sweets? Did you put that in the?
Just do it by date modified and choose the latest one.
Okay.
That's the one.
Boom, there we go. Okay, we'll show this.
Oh, all right, is it? Yeah, it's up.
There it is.
So this was taken by Bruce, and I think the folks that you will know in this photo are Scott is obviously in the middle, and then Stephen King is there on the end, and this was his bachelor party night, and they went bowling, and I don't know how this photo came about, but I love it so much.
Because Bruce always had a goddamn camera, always with a camera,
and so I have this printed and in my home. Even in this house.
Thank you, Jen.
I mentioned on Facebook when I posted about Bruce that the first time he was ever in the empty set office, which is no more, he stood in the middle of the room and rotated a handful of times and then said, "I think you have more Bruce Press photos than anyone else, maybe even me." And he was kind of, he looked a little, he was a little humbled, which is insane because every single one of those photos were purchased, and because his work is that good, and so that was it was kind of impressive to me to see.
I just moved something I'm not supposed to. Keep going, babe.
Okay, how I don't how someone so talented could be so humble. It takes a man like Bruce, I think, and
we don't. Vamp. I'll be right back.
Okay. So, to finish that story, we went in March to visit with them. He allowed me in his kitchen, which I didn't even know was a thing, and it was really a wonderful time, and everybody was feeling great, and it was a totally great time. And that weekend that we were there, He and I were talking, and he said, we were talking about his carrying bridge, and he called himself at some point in his blogging about it. He called himself a short timer, and he said, "Well, I am, right? I mean, statistically speaking, I am. Don't get me wrong. I'd love to beat the odds, but short timer sounds better than I'm going to beat this thing." Kind of. That was the kind of conversation that we had, and I thought that might have been a gift to him as well, but it was absolutely a gift to everyone he told that to, because we got to skip past the "you're going to do great, you're going to get the," and really have
people who are realists,
real conversations.
People who are realists and understand science and mortality. I think that is a false. It's a false emotion. It's like, you know what, you're going to get behind, you're going to kick cancer's ass. And like, now we have people in the chat room who have kicked cancer's ass.
Right.
Which is great. But there are certain sets where you get dealt certain hands and you look at it like, whew, man, the odds are not good. Not good at all. And Bruce was very realistic about it at every point as far as we knew in the process. But I'm going to see if I can get through this real quick. This is like my most prized possession.
So this, you want me to talk about it? Okay, so this is a photo from, I want to say maybe 2012's Sigler Fest. And at the time, Bruce took this photo at karaoke, obviously. And then Scott and the Junkies, I think, organized this as a gift to me. And then they gave it to me at Sigler Fest. And the little plaque says something about thank you for, I don't know if can they read that?
Yeah, they read it. Scott's work was great before. You helped make it even better. We know the best is yet to come. Siglerfest 2K15.
So that's from. Regardless, they gave it to me at Siglerfest, and then all the junkies who were at Siglerfest signed it, and that's what all that gold is around the edges. But here's the thing: when we were looking at it, because it was at Siglerfest, it was on a table, it was right there. Everybody was like, "What were you doing?" And I was like, "I don't know. I was vamping for the crowd or whatever." And everybody was talking about like, "But what do we call this? What do we call this?" And Bruce, with his camera shooting other things, walks by and goes, "Obviously she's supervising," and walks off.
She said, sorry, babe, sorry to correct. She goes, "Obviously she's got his back," which is... Wait.
Oh. You all right?
I'm leaking.
Oh.
Apparently I got
I
got defective models of eyes and mine are leaking. Horse shit. All right, so obviously we're doing the best we can. So what we're going to do is there anything else you want to say? Because we're going to finish up with the last picture of Bruce that'll ruin me. So
well, I do.
That'll be it. Bye-bye.
Hang on one sec. I want to remember to mention, I know if you're in the Facebook chat room, Gary Lindros posted a link to his photo page. So if you look at any photo and you want it, if you've been to Siglerfest, if you haven't been to Siglerfest, if you want any of those photos we just showed you of he and
Gary post that? Gary's on Facebook. Let me see if I can find that and retweet it. I'll go back.
You can certainly do that. And then the other thing I want to say,
Gary, just post that again, bro. And I got it. Never mind.
The other thing I want to say before we do anything else is, in lieu of flowers or anything else sent to the family, what the Press family has asked for is that if you want to consider donating to one of Bruce's favorite charities instead, and they are Doctors Without Borders and Planned Parenthood. So you can, if you want to show your love in a monetary way, those are two options, or Scott just posted the link to his photo store if you want to do that. So I will say, obviously,
D79's having a minute too. Sorry, man. So sorry to hear it. Go ahead, baby.
Oh my goodness, D79. Our heart goes out to you for sure. So I will say, since I don't want to step on your toes, but it seems like you're having a little.
My mouth doesn't work for these things.
All right, that's
you have seen this. This is not the first time.
I know.
For someone whose mouth runs nonstop 24/7 for his entire life. This is the shit where I can't get a sentence out. This is the only time I can't get a sentence out.
So I'll do this for you guys. Obviously, the loss of Bruce Press to this community, and not just this community, is immeasurable. But what I think we should do, or what I'm going to do, is what I'll say, is I am going to hug the people I love and tell them that I love them. I am going to forgive what transgressions and what enemies I might be able to forgive. And I'm going to do that because that's what I learned from my friend Bruce. So this last photo that Scott's going to show,
we're going to do the wrap up. We're going to do the wrap up before we show the photo. Okay. We're going to leave the photo up and fucking tap out.
All right.
So, let's see. We'll be back Wednesday, June 21st.
It'll be Slay episode 24. And just so you guys know, we are planning on doing this on June 28th, our anniversary birthday. Hope you join us for the party.
Yeah, again, we're doing a live stream because people like it on A's birthday and on our anniversary. Now there will be much tawdry events that go on with anniversary at another time. You're not going to see any hot action on this, but you can come join us. You can come join. Not for the stuff after, but you can come join us for the live stream.
But all right. Until then,
we want you to stay smart.
We want you to stay science.
And for the love of science, stay informed.
And like I just said, please tell your loved ones that you love them. They need to know, and you need to say it.
All right. Now, just going to leave this up for a bit. Bye.
That's not the one.
This is the one. Oops.
Flights of angels.
There we go.
Sing thee to thy rest.
You can all kiss off into the sky.
We love you.
I guess we blow the kiss for this one. Fuck.
We love you, Presses.